people only want to watch Bigfoot content or only want to hear about Bigfoot. Some people only want to hear about the paranormal. So I decided to split it up into those two. But yeah, I mean, I've always been into both cryptids and paranormal, and then UFOs and like pretty much all the strange mysteries of the world interest me.
Ah, okay. Now, that's the big difference. When we have the event on October 26th down in Orange Beach, we've got a lot larger facility, and we're going to be able to split things up to where the Bigfoot people don't have to listen to haunted dolls if they don't want to. So, so we can kind of keep it separate like that. Because I know there are a lot of people. I know some people, just because there were some Ouija boards laid out, some people freaked out over that. So we kind of divided up a little bit down there. We got a lot more space to work with. But I know from what you've told me and pictures I've seen online, you've got quite a collection of stuff at your house.
Yep, I do. I'll answer this question, and then I gotta run into this building real quick. And then I'll be right back. But yeah, I have a collection. I've got, as far as Ouija boards go, I've got about, I think, 9 boards. But some of them are from as far back as the 40s. And then I collect different dolls, clown dolls, and creepy porcelain dolls, and some of which have been in places where people have passed away or people who had sort of an attachment to it and to the dolls. And then I have several dolls that were used in rituals and voodoo. And then I have some pieces of haunted locations. Like I have a piece of the Hinsdale house, which is in New York. It's one of the houses that had a structural exorcism performed on it. I've got a piece of Madison Seminary, a piece of Thornhaven Manor, one of the thorns from outside. So just a lot of different stuff like that. And then some religious stuff too, like that I collect like old crucifixes and rosaries. And I have a couple shelves. Like I have one shelf that's kind of dedicated to like angels. I have one shelf that's dedicated to fairies and fae and gnomes. And so I just keep a bunch of different stuff like that, and a bunch of different books on the subjects. And
Okay. Well, listen, go ahead and do your job, and we'll be standing by. We're going to go ahead and talk without you.
It'll just take a sec here.
Okay. Okay, we had a little technical issue starting out here, guys, and I think we've got that corrected, so we're moving forward. Again, this is Abnormal Alabama at the Abnormal Church in Columbiana, Alabama, 1430 Highway 47 South. You're welcome to come by. We have plenty of seating and a new coffee pot that's been used 2 or 3 times. Other than that, this is Regina right here, and there's Catherine over there. Frank had to work late. Bigfoot Bob, who was going to be with us, he had to work late too, but he is streaming with us so you can hear him talk. And then Kevin Kane is the poor guy's stuck in Savannah, Georgia. So he's going to have some tall tales to tell when he comes back next Tuesday night. So you got to make sure you tune in for that. And again, we're promoting the big event, October 26th, right before Halloween. We're going to call it Halloween weekend. I think we're going to have a costume contest while we're down there. I think that'd be a good thing.
I do too.
And I have been told that I don't even have to change clothes or anything. I just will probably win my natural looks. So anyway, bottom line is that that is going to be a huge event. There's room for 1,000 people there. Bigfoot Bob's going to be there, along with Paul Halsey, Frank Lee, the ghost biker Miranda, who's everybody's. I don't know why people like her so much. Do you, Bob?
She's got a really cool style, the way she presents her investigations and everything.
I tell you what, she has invested some bucks into her marketing stuff. I'll tell you that much. She's put together a slick presentation. And let's see, your girl, when are you guys getting married?
In April, in between the Madhouse premiere and the Madhouse release.
Okay. So her name is Brittany, and she is. Once you meet her, you probably won't spend much time with Bob anymore. But she's a tarot card reader, and she is good. She is darn good.
She's awesome.
She's the extrovert to my introvert. She's much more of a people person, and but yeah, she's a psychic. I mean, I consider her a psychic medium.
So
I don't know if she would call herself that, but she does tarot card readings and also picks up on like if you bring her on an investigation, she'll sometimes have really detailed visions and even sometimes channel things through herself.
So we're gonna be able to get her up on the stage to talk to us as well.
I'll ask her. She might want to do that. I think she also performs music with her.
Has what?
She also performs music with her band. She has a band.
Oh, okay. Well, the difference with the venue we've got down there is, should I call you Alex or Bob? You got two first names.
Either way is fine.
Okay. Well, the difference is the location that we're going to down there, that venue, we can rock that place till 3 o'clock in the morning if we want to. And so if we could get a band or two, I know Kayleen has a heavy metal band that may do some music for us too.
Yeah, I can. I'll have to talk to Brittany that she might be interested.
Okay, because we have this is a concert place. It's set up. We can have our lectures, we can have all that presentation, and then we can have as a party, after hours thing.
We need a party.
Yeah, I'm burned out. I need 2 or 3 parties.
Is it close to the beach too?
It's at our marina, so that's got to be pretty close. I'm going to drive down there
That's
next.
gonna be awesome.
I'm gonna. I booked this thing long distance. I've seen pictures, but I'm going down there to make some video and get a better layout with it. First of all, we got to sell a bunch of tickets because nothing on the beach is cheap. So putting this together is costing me quite a bit of money. But I really feel that it's going to, who don't want to go to Orange Beach, right?
Definitely. I'm gonna be promoting it too on all I've already been talking about it on like my podcast and my videos and stuff. So
okay. Well, we've got a VIP room also that people are gonna pay more money to be in there, and we're gonna provide them with nice refreshments. And I'm gonna have, when you guys have given your speeches and whatnot, you can go in there and talk privately to the VIP people for a little bit. Maybe Brittany can go in there and give away a few tarot card readings. I hope that you told her that she needs to quadruple at least her price on her tarot card readings. $5? Are you kidding me?
She normally I think she normally charges around 20 for a 4-card reading, and she was doing everyone special deals that day.
For
the event.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. I mean,
Also, generally, it's good to. She likes to sage in between sessions, and she wasn't able to sage, so she was pretty drained after all those readings. I remember when we got home, she had a bad headache, and I had to sage her when we got home, just because.
Oh, they were lined up.
Well, yeah, and she did a lot of them, and it takes some of her own energy to do this.
Yeah,
so,
we'll make sure she gets breaks from that stuff. And what do we need?
As long as usually it just takes a quick smudge. and she's fine.
All right, we've got some smudge sticks. If that don't work, I also have Jägermeister.
Sounds great.
Okay. Well, anyway, I just wanted to throw that in. That's going to be, and I'll have more pictures and video of this place to share and exactly how we're going to lay it out and whatnot. But you said at some point in time we come out to your house and you can show us all your stuff in your collection.
What was that?
You said at some point we can come out to your house and view your collection.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Once we have to get it. It's kind of messy right now, and Brittany literally won't let anyone come over if it's messy. So I've got to do some cleaning.
It's okay.
But
Bob, pick your underwear up off the floor.
once I get it cleaned up, though, definitely, and y'all can check out all my dolls and everything, and my Ouija boards, and we can even do a session in my room.
That'd be great. That'd be real good.
Yeah, we had some really good sessions in my room, and the house itself is a 16-year-old mining officer's house, and just we have some experiences there almost every day.
Wow.
It's because not only is it an old building, the land, of course, was Native American land at one point in time, and then you have the mines where people passed away, and the mines behind the house, and then also everything that I bring that might have attachments to certain objects I have, or things that follow you from investigations and things like that. So there's always something going on there.
So all these.
Usually.
Go ahead.
Oh, what? I was just gonna say, usually disembodied voices. I'll see a lot of shadows or like smaller like orbs and things like that flying around. Like it'll be like smaller shadow orb will just fly by. I'll see flashes of light. But for like a month, we were hearing disembodied voices like almost every day. It was pretty crazy. We would hear like babies crying. I would hear Brittany's voice, and she would be at work, and then she would hear my voice. One day she heard me like screaming from upstairs, and she said she ran up there, and I was just asleep. So I'm not sure if I was screaming in my sleep or if something was beating me or what.
So that quick question: you've collected all this stuff. Do you find these items that you collected have anything attached to them that could be bringing more hauntings into your house?
Some of them are reportedly have attachments to them. Like there's one doll that was used in a bunch of different rituals, and when we first got that doll, we noticed a lot of electrical issues in the house. But it's kind of died down. We also have one doll that is believed to have an attachment to this entity called Malik, and it was found in this house where several people died of overdoses. And when I first got the doll, my friend, he owned it first, and he didn't want it anymore, so he sent it to me. And the first night that I got it, I went to go pick it up. It got shipped to my dad's house, and it was down in his basement. And he said when the box got there, he got this like weird headache, and he normally doesn't get headaches. But I got there, and I was looking in the basement door, and I saw something like, it looked like this. It's like flesh colored moved in front of the door. And I told my friend about it, and he said that that's how this entity presents itself, or presented itself to him, was this like flesh colored, it's believed to be like a demonic entity that, some demonic entities have their angel form that they appear as. And his is to be like this like blonde hair, like kind of like albino looking human figure. And and I think I might have seen it walk past the door. And then I've gotten lots of spirit box responses about Malik and like telling me to be careful and things like that. So I've got that doll put into it's binded in a glass case with salt and sage and prayers, and uh, and it just kind of sits there. So there's this one little clown doll that falls off the shelf all the time, and and it'll just be like on the ground when I get home, and I don't let any of the cats in my room or anything like that. And we have seen some poltergeist activity there, like things getting thrown off the shelf. Brittany actually saw it with her own eyes, something getting thrown off the shelf. Um, there was like a week where I would walk past something and it would fly off the shelf or table, and like I wouldn't be anywhere near it, like I wouldn't have touched it, but I'll walk past and it'll just fly off. And that was an interesting week. It sometimes seems like there's different things happening in different periods of time. Like a week ago, it was the flashes of light was like every day. I would see a flash of light somewhere, and I hadn't seen one of those in a while. But I used to see them when I would get back home from investigations. Like almost every time I would get home, and then we would see this like camera flash, like it looks like a camera flash. My dog would even bark at it.
I'm still here, Bob. I'm just gonna check the camera.
Oh,
She's leaving you.
let me run in here real quick.
Okay.
But I'm gonna leave it running and I'll be back.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay, can I tell a story about something?
Yeah, get a microphone.
So,
There, get the microphone.
I have someone post to Facebook the other day, and it says, a personal post. What do you think? Everyone, so I just recently bought an older, updated Victorian home. It is unclear if it was built in 1921 or 32. We moved in, all is good. I'm not a psychic. I don't see the dead. I don't have visitors, so I'm not trying to seek attention here. I just cannot figure out what's going on. I love this house, love it. But one day I'm walking to the third level of my home, up the winding staircase to the bedrooms, and suddenly I had this feeling that maybe this place was once a funeral parlor. I know that sounds crazy. Why a funeral parlor? I know, let's see, hold on, I lost place. What made me think of that? I don't know. I almost think I can smell it. A smell that only funeral homes have. No one smells it but me. Doors open and close on their own upstairs. And in the basement, I was doing laundry, and I began to follow the pipes on the ceiling, and they lead me to an actual wash area. It's unfinished in the basement with pipes everywhere. And then an old metal shower head is just there, poking out of the ceiling, and a drain beneath the floor. I've tried to find the history on this place. The only things found was a famous trophy hunter author lived here many years ago. I cannot shake this feeling. So, this woman contacts me and she sends me some photos of this home. It's a beautiful home, by the way. And back in the old days, before they had these new funeral parlors, we used to have wakes at our home where they'd lay the dead body out. I'm sure y'all have heard Dr. Graham talk about it many a times. They would lay the dead body out on the kitchen table. And everybody would come in and visit. They'd clean the body, all that good stuff. And it'd stay there for a couple of days. And they used a lot of flowers to keep the smells down because dead body stinks. And this was before embalming. Not sure what year that became popular. But she sent me all these pictures of her home and kept getting an older lady. I'm gonna say between 78 and 85-ish. You know, they all look the same to me. But I got talking about her to her, and I said, you know, there's somebody there that's had polio or can't walk, accident, polio, something. Her response to me was, the guy that lived here before had polio, and he could not walk. That's a little freaky.
Yep.
Definitely a little freaky.
Mm-hmm. And you picked that up from a photo?
I picked that up from a photo.
Of the house?
Yes, of the house. I have no pictures, no, other than what you saw me read just then, which was in small print, and I'm trying to read off my phone there. Eyes are not that great anymore. She sent me, let's see if I can find it here. She sent me a picture of some stairs and her two dogs laying at the top of the stairs. a picture of this going down the stairs. Another dog at the top of the stairs. Her bedroom. The other side of her bedroom. But she keeps smelling this faint smell of flowers. You know how a funeral home, a church smells when they put out fresh flowers. Dr. Graham, do you want to come tell us about how they used to do wakes back in the old days?
Yeah. Well, okay, he's not back yet. How used to do what back in the day? Wakes?
Wakes, where they laid the body
Oh
out.
well, I mean, my father was clergy. When I was a kid, I saw more funerals than I did weddings. Now I'm old and I see more weddings than I do funerals. I think that's because everybody I know's already died, so the funerals are over. But back in those days, the funeral homes did not take total ownership of the body like they do now. They've sanitized death to a ridiculous degree, as far as I'm concerned. Because used to, yes, they would pick up a body and they would embalm it. They would lay it out, dress it, make it up and whatnot, but it would be delivered to your home and be laid out in the living room. And there would be like a shear over the body when they opened up the casket because of flies. You know, back then there was, unless you were just totally filthy rich, nobody had central air, you know, and it was Alabama, and you know.
Let's see when embalming became popular.
Well, embalming was already taking place in the 20th century. That's not that new a thing. You got to remember that we got our embalming from Egypt.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where it all came from, and the whole thing was, and superstition. You still find a lot of very fundamentalist Christians that are totally opposed to cremations and whatnot. You've got to respect that body, and it's got to be buried whole. It's like, okay, what about somebody gets burned up? But the bottom line is there's superstitions around it. There's always been superstitions around death, and we go through these cycles. But the embalming actually started with the Egyptians. You know, that's why you got King Tut's body to this day, and they were very good at embalming bodies.
Better than us.
Well, you know, we don't dig up bodies, generally speaking, now. And a lot of interesting things about that. Of course, we got our medical science today because of grave robbers.
Yeah.
Okay? It was that you could not find bodies, and so the people doing medical research needed cadavers, bodies, corpses, to be able to dissect them and figure out, you know, all these components of your body. And they couldn't teach people without these bodies. They didn't have fake bodies like we got today and whatnot. But back then, literally, grave robbers, somebody would get freshly buried, and you could bet that night
Yeah.
somebody was out there digging that corpse up, and you know, there's no telling how many graves, especially over in the UK area, that there's nobody in.
Yeah.
Empty caskets. And of course, back then, it was wooden caskets. We didn't have the metal caskets, all that stuff. And it's very interesting the way we viewed this whole thing, just totally interesting. Get that back on screen so we kind of know when if you don't mind. It's just like they do this concrete encasement in the ground. The worst thing about a decaying body is not the decaying body. The worst thing about the decaying body is the embalming fluid. Everything else is natural, goes back in the ground, from dust you are, dust you return. And it's good to see a lot of places, in Huntsville is the only one in Alabama that I know of that has natural burial grounds, where they put you in a biodegradable material and plant you in the ground, and you can eventually become a tree or grass or whatever. But the funeral homes is the ones that did this in Alabama until just 3 or 4 years ago. I think I hear a Bigfoot. Ooh, wow! I hear a Bigfoot.
You're noisy, Alex.
While we were waiting on you, we were talking about the history of.
I'm very loud and chaotic
Yeah.
sometimes.
You're not going to sneak up on a Bigfoot that way.
Yeah, I don't even try anymore because I'm like, they know I'm out here already.
Well, we were
They hear
talking.
me,
We were talking about the way we've dealt with corpses and bodies over the years and how it's changed dramatically. and how we didn't,
Yeah.
you know, if it wasn't for grave robbers, we wouldn't have modern medical science.
I find it interesting. Back in the day when they used to have like a viewing at their own houses, and they would have,
You kind of cut out a little bit.
I was saying like they have a viewing at their own house, like they would have, like let's say their child died, they would have their viewing like in their living room.
Oh yeah, that,
And,
we were just talking about that. My dad was clergy; he was a pastor, and I grew up going to funerals at people's homes. The funeral home would embalm them, put them in a casket, put clothes on them, and take them to the residence. And they would they would lay them out in the living room, and there would be a sheer cloth over it, over the corpse, because back then only the very wealthy had central air.
Let me ask you a question about what.
And the
time
bugs.
Did the funeral homes open up and start becoming popular? Because before that, we just had home viewings.
Yeah, well, they had home viewings, but the funeral industry's been around for a while. I mean, going back to before this country was founded, there was always an undertaker that took care of the bodies. The difference is that over time, it became an industry more so than what it used to be. Used to, the family, and still in some cultures, somebody dies, the family washes the body, cleans the body, dresses the body, you know, like a midwifery for the deceased, more or less. And if nowadays you can do that, and a lot of people don't understand the laws concerning the deceased and what you can do, but you have more rights, you know, than what you realize. But the funeral industry does not want you to know those rights, because they make a dime off of every inch of the way from, you know, when the people that come and pick up your body, that's called remains removal, and they charge a fee for remains removal. And so every step of the way they're charging a fee, like putting your body, there's no law that says you have to be embalmed. There's no law that says that. So you don't have to pay an embalming fee if you just want to, you know, go according. A lot of Native Americans will not be embalmed. Okay? And then putting these concrete things in the ground with these metal caskets, and you know, and sealing it is the only dangerous thing about a rotting corpse is the embalming fluid.
And it exploded.
And then of course, yeah, I mean, you're sealing this biological material up in this situation. It's going to at some point explode.
He's going to break the seal of that vault anyway.
Oh, we lost him. I hear him, but I don't see him.
Oh, I'm still here.
Okay.
I had to pull up this address.
Okay.
Okay. But anyway, that's kind of what we're talking about while we're waiting on you to come back, Bob.
Yeah. Have y'all heard about the crematorium in Georgia that the guy had been like dumping the bodies in the lake behind it?
Yeah. He's in jail now, isn't he?
I think so, yeah. I think he's still in jail.
I think the father had the business, and the father died or something. The son took it over, and the son just started taking the money and not cremating the bodies, and there was bodies stacked all over the property.
And
Yeah.
And what? Somebody found them.
well, I mean, he had to give these people something because
I guess he just burned paper or something. I don't know.
There's no telling.
human
Yeah.
remains.
People don't know. I mean, you know, I've dealt with cremains before, and a whole human body, there's some weight to those cremains.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not like burning paper. Believe me, it's heavy, and it's granular. Well, the reason it's granular is because bones don't burn.
Yeah.
They burn all the flesh off,
Right.
and then they actually grind the bones up.
Like in a giant mixer, like in a giant blender.
Yeah.
I really don't know how to.
Yeah. But that's how they do that. I used to work at a funeral home years ago up in Nashville, the Marshall Donnelly Combs Funeral Home that sits there at Centennial Park. You ever go to Nashville on West End?
Yeah.
Way back then, it's like a 200-year-old funeral home.
Wow.
and it's got that old elevator in it that you get on it, and you got to manually close the gates to go down to the basement.
Yeah.
And then you go down the basement, and we'd have the cadavers just laying out on gurneys down there. Sometimes it's amazing how those bodies would pile up on you, like a slew of people die. You know.
Yes.
They say it goes in threes.
Yeah. And people would say, "How's business?" We'd say it's dead. We used to stand
Did you
there.
hear that recent,
Huh?
some of those stories about people getting wrong bodies, like their family member will get lost or a different body in there?
Yes, I've heard
Yes.
stories of that.
Yes.
Okay.
The family member would get lost, and they would go open their casket to do their funeral or whatever, and it
Oh,
was
it'd be
the wrong body.
yeah, be the wrong one. We would be standing there, of course, you know, when they had the viewings and whatnot. And back then, nowadays they restrict these viewings to just like a couple of hours. Back then, you would have a whole day of people coming in and out for a viewing, even at the funeral home. And we would be there in our dark suits, you know, standing there, and inevitably somebody's going to walk up to that casket and say, "Oh, doesn't he look natural?" And we'd be goosing each other and say, "Yeah, he's always looked dead."
Well, here's the thing. When I was a kid, we would always have it the night before the funeral, and I guess because of money, now they have most of the time have them the day of, an hour before, 2
Yeah.
hours
Oh, you
before.
talking about the viewing?
The viewing,
viewing.
yes.
Well, there's a difference between African American black people's scenario with funerals and the white customs. We get rid of it in 2 or 3 days, we're bam, gone. Blacks carry it on for a long time.
7 to
Yeah, they can go on and on with it.
10 days.
But it's interesting the way we've dealt with remains and whatnot. A lot of superstitions around it and whatnot. So, Bob, did we lose you?
He's there.
He's there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So what, when's the last time you went Bigfoot hunting?
It's been a little while for me this time. Trying to think, because it's been raining a lot, and I've been dealing with some health issues with my sleep, so I haven't been out in a little while. It's probably been a couple weeks. I was supposed to go out this last weekend, but then we had the weather issues. And don't get me wrong, like I'll go hiking in the rain, but I can't film in the rain. My camera is not waterproof, so.
You need to get you a GoPro.
Yeah, I've got the GoPro, but you know, then you lose audio quality, and I want like the best. I want a good viewing experience for whoever's watching, so I try to do the best I can with that. Some people complain about like with a lot of videos in the woods, it's hard to keep the camera steady. So you'll be like shaking the camera around or moving, or you'll turn really fast, and it makes some people dizzy. So I try to do the best I can with all that, but yeah, I'm planning on getting out as soon as possible. Like I would play in the next couple months. I like to go out at night. I like to go out alone at night. It's my favorite time to go.
Okay, I'm going to change the subject. Psychomantium.
What?
Psychomantium?
Similar to a scrying mirror, right?
Yes, we've got one built out here.
Yeah, I don't know too much about those in general, but I have a black scrying mirror myself that definitely, like, you know, the thing about this mirror, when it's uncovered, people have nightmares, like, I actually had a nightmare that one of my cats got mutilated one of the nights that I left it uncovered. So I try to keep it covered.
When I don't keep my mirror covered and I look in it, I get nightmares too. I learned a trick. I learned a trick a long time ago on my birthday. Every year on my birthday, I buy a lower wattage light bulb for my vanity. Works wonders.
Have y'all experimented with any of the Bloody Mary or Candyman games with the mirrors?
No, Regina's done we put her in the Psychomantium a couple of times. She saw something one time. You've got to go through and prepare yourself to have the experience. And most people, it's like you want to connect with somebody that you know, your grandmother or, somebody you were close to. We've got a portable one here that Catherine, he can't see it there. She's going to put it in front of the camera so you can see it. But we've got a very portable one, like if you're on the road and you're going to motels or whatever. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it comes with...
And the candle holder, so you put candles behind you when you're sitting in front of it.
Yep.
Yeah. The big one is behind me here. We built it out in a big trailer.
Nice.
We're going to take it down to the festival with us in October. But it's.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, you can't see it because it's outside where we're sitting. But Dr. Raymond Moody, and he's the one that reinvented the Psychomantium, and he's also the one that coined the term NDE, near-death experience. You familiar with him?
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, go ahead.
I've had some, I think, similar experiences to that when I was younger, and out-of-body experiences. Wait, what?
Well, there's so many.
What'd you say?
There's so many different ways. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What did you say?
No, you go ahead.
He said, go ahead.
Oh, there's so many different ways you can go, and anything paranormal or whatever. Have you investigated any into the Black Knight satellite?
I haven't investigated into that, but I have seen some of the videos. I want to do more UFO and like extraterrestrial investigations. We've done some experimenting with the high-powered laser pointers and the CE5 meditation and sigil, but I don't know too much about the Black Knight satellite. It's pretty cool stuff, though, from what I've seen.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time. There's a lot of pictures, a lot of video of it, even from the space station and whatnot.
Yeah.
And you talk about UFOs. I'm not going to give I had a very profound UFO Men in Black experience a dozen years ago up in Odenville, and I'll tell you that later. I've told it so many times, people are sick of hearing it.
Yeah.
But there is a group, there is an element of Bigfoot people that tie in Bigfoot with UFOs.
Yep. Definitely.
What do you think about that?
I'm going to answer this one, and I'm gonna run this in real quick. But from what I've seen, specifically, I'll give an example in Tuscaloosa County. If you look online, you can actually find some sightings of Bigfoot and sightings of UFOs around the same general areas. And then I myself have had some experiences with strange lights in the woods and things like that while I've been investigating Bigfoot. There's also stories I think in one of John Keel's books, I forget the name of it, he mentions a story though where someone actually saw a Bigfoot type creature with two smaller figures getting onto a UFO. So there definitely could be a connection. You also have the stories about the Dogman, extraterrestrial canine warriors that supposedly Army people have talked about having to do battle with and stuff. I've actually had a dream about these Dogmen aliens. So, it definitely could be possible. I leave it all up. I'm very open-minded, so like, I will take in all the theories. I'm not gonna say, oh, Bigfoot's doesn't ride in UFOs, because I don't know. You know, I can't say for sure what all Bigfoot does. So to me, it's definitely I leave it open. So it's definitely possible, especially when you have those areas where sightings of both in the same vicinity.
Yeah.
So
Well, another speaker we're going to have down at Orange Beach. Do you know Keith Bearden?
Keith Bearden
Yeah.
sounds familiar. I might be friends with him on Facebook.
He's from over in Georgia, but he wrote a book called Forest Friends. And he's very fascinating stories, and he gives a good presentation too. So you may, if you hadn't met him, you'll get an opportunity to meet him too. But I don't know. I think that what we're calling Bigfoot could actually be a lot smarter than we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
we think we're all that, but I don't think we're all what we think we are.
Yeah. One thing I find that's interesting about humans is that we have this very like destructive nature. We like tear everything down and try to rebuild it into something else. And the Bigfoot, from what we've seen or what we think we know, they live with much less and more like naturalist way of living. And I personally, I hate what humans have been doing to the planet and everything. But I mean, I've been doing it too. I mean, I drive a car, and I've littered in the past and done things that I'm not like proud of. But that's just human nature, I guess.
Well, I think the whole thing is that we're caught up in this society and this culture, and regardless of how much you and I may try, okay, I'm not going to litter anymore, and I'm going to I'm going to walk or ride a horse. We're not going to change the world.
No.
We're caught up in this culture. So I went through a period of time when I was younger in my life thinking, oh, I'm going to be able to change the world, blah, 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 and it's like, it's a fruitless effort. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so you kind of,
Seriously.
yeah, I mean, you do the best you can. You don't go out of your way to junk things up, but I mean, let's face it, every little piece of land in an urban area, they're going to build something on it. They're going to tear stuff down. And I'm with you. I think that it's just like I used to say, the Native Americans, indigenous people of this land that we live on, they respected everything, and then we came along, we want to, I say, westernize them, that we made them dress like white folks, and we taught them about, we brought them our Christian God, and we just took everything away from them. And we have a nature of doing that because we're capitalist. It's all about money. And money's more important to us than life itself, I think.
What I've seen is I've seen people go, they live in this neighborhood and they're like, okay, it's getting too crowded, I gotta move. But they move to these new neighborhoods and they're like, oh, this is so tiny, I can't stand it here anymore, we gotta build this up. And then once it's built up again, what are they doing? They're moving to another, to the country again, and they're building it again, and the cycle goes on and on and on until everything's used up.
Yeah.
We took a ride.
I'll be right back, y'all.
Okay.
Okay.
A lot of interesting food for thought. I enjoy those discussions because it makes you think. And the connectivity of all this, and we've talked before about how all this fits in with like the paranormal ghost.
Yeah.
Is it dead people or is it parallel universes?
Is it
Are
energy?
we bumping? That's it. Well, I think it's all energy,
Yeah.
but yeah. And we just making a lot of assumptions, and I think that hinders just like Bigfoot people. I share that video, but there was a real good Bigfoot video I listened to, I think, last night. And just on point in so many ways, but the way we look at things, instead of advancing, we're just taking, and I don't think we're growing in the way we view these things at all. I think we're just kind of stuck. You watch these reality TV shows and ghost hunters, it's like, oh, that was then so-and-so, and it's like, you don't know it was then so-and-so,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
No, just like I was telling that story earlier. The lady said that the guy that lived there just before her had polio. Well, when I was looking at the pictures, I got someone disabled, either an accident or polio. Those were the two things I got. He's
Yeah.
still alive. So,
But what I'm saying is, you don't know where that information is coming from, and I go back, of course, my training was in the Bible. I don't promote the Bible, but there's good things you can learn from all kind of books.
Right.
And the Bible says that these entities, he's back, these entities, whatever they are, if I can sit here and lie to you and convince you I'm something I'm not, you don't think that something that's invisible can't lie to you and convince you they're
That's
something
true.
they're not? Because you think,
That's
oh, it's
true.
like, oh, that's not a malevolent spirit, that's a good spirit.
Yeah.
And
That's
it
an
could be
angel.
lying to you.
Oh,
to
yeah.
get, you know, and just because it comes back, if these spirits have been around for hundreds of years, they well, not only that,
Yeah.
they could know all about your mama,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
they could play. You know, they stole her ID. Is the bottom line.
Yeah, yeah.
They could steal somebody's ID in the spirit world and play off like they're somebody they're not. What do you think about that, Bob?
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree with that because I mean, if you're dealing with some ancient entity that like time is totally different for them,
Mm-hmm.
I would think. I mean, I can't say for sure, but I definitely agree. We don't know what we're talking to at any point in time. Like you could get an EVP or a spirit box response that says someone's name, but we don't know for sure if that's that person speaking to us or who it is or what it is.
Absolutely.
So-
Well, yeah, I mean, if we live in a society where flesh and blood people can steal your identity, a lot easier for for an invisible person
Yeah.
to steal your
Yeah.
identity.
Definitely. And then another thing, like with like psychics and mediums, one of my thoughts about that is like we don't actually know where their information is coming from. Like it could be coming from, it could be coming from a negative source or something. I mean, we don't know. So it's just an interesting thing to think of. So anytime I get a reading, I keep it like I'll just remain open-minded. I won't like put all of my faith into it, but I'll just take it for what it is. And same with like spirit box and things like that. I try to, if I get relevant and intelligent responses, I will point those out. But I definitely like to leave it open for interpretation.
We've got a lot to learn yet.
Yes, always learning more. I've actually been going back into some older occult texts. Like I'm currently reading this one book about mediumship. I think it's from like the early 1900s, and then I've got a bunch of other. Brittany actually got me. There's a DVD that has a bunch of these old texts. They've got it like photocopied on there, so you can read straight out of the books, just right from your computer. And definitely a lot of stuff in there that people don't really talk about anymore.
Are you familiar with spiritualist churches?
Not too much. I've heard about them, and I know some people that have gone to them, but I don't know too much about them.
Well, there's a big community down in Florida, and there's another one up in New York. I cannot pull the names of these communities out of my head right now, but they are mediums. Their whole church is doing the John Edwards gallery readings.
Yeah.
And there's
I think
huh?
Someone was telling me about that, the one in New York just yesterday, I think.
Yeah, one of them's Lily something, I think.
Yeah.
These
Yeah, I
guys are
remember
looking it up now. Just Spiritualist Church, Florida. Our Spiritualist Community is what I look at. One of you do Spiritualist Community in Florida, and the other one in New York. There's two different communities, and it's big over the UK. Even though the UK has more atheists, they still.
In New York. Lilydale.
Lilydale's the New York one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one I just heard about that yesterday from someone.
And the other one's in Florida. It's got a different name, but it's a whole community of nothing but spiritualists. They believe in it. Their whole thing is communicating with the dead, and they don't like the word psychic. They do not like the word psychic. They're mediums.
Yeah.
Whole difference. A psychic will try to predict the future. A medium does not do that. That's what they say.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah, medium's like,
No.
to me, like a medium is someone who can communicate
Community.
or bring messages from the other side through in different ways.
The thing.
Like I say, like the way that Brittany does it, she will literally channel through herself and get into this like trance-like state, and then something will be talking through her. And this has only happened a couple times, but I've seen it happen to her, and it's the first couple of times it was really scary. But
Casadega?
The Casadega is the one in Florida.
Nice.
And it's a whole community. You go to the town, and the whole town is nothing but these mediums.
I want to go.
Yeah.
It's like going to Sedona, Arizona.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
But the whole town, in the same way with the Lilydale, and they're entirely spiritualist communities, and they don't. In the spiritualist church, they don't charge anything because it's their religion. Of course, they take donations, but I don't know how it works in these communities. But I know that they all hang their, every house has got a medium in it. So,
Yeah, that's cool.
they keep you running.
Yeah, I like. It's always cool to have a medium on an investigation to see if you get any like strange validations through them and things that they say or feel or hear, and sometimes there some really cool stuff happens.
Yeah.
I really like Kim Johnston, her whole story with the whole voodoo preacher investigation. Like that one is something out of the movies. Like the way it all kind of came together, and when she found out about like the brother and everything, was getting evidence to validate this stuff. And she works with a couple of mediums.
So have you got a lot of experience using the Ouija board?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on and off using them since I was a little kid. Like my one aunt would play with me, and then I took a break for a while till I was a teenager, and then started messing around with them. Then around then was when some negative things would happen after I would use them. So then I took a pretty long break. But then recently, over the last couple of years, I've played a lot more and had some very interesting sessions.
Yeah. Well, do you think you're going to ever? I mean, this has worked out pretty good. Doing this with you as you work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I hope you get to come down here with us one night.
No, I would love to. And yeah, if anyone wants to play Ouija board, I would definitely be. I'm always down to do it. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people are just afraid of it.
Yeah, we got a stack of them here. So, Kevin Kane of the Haunted Dolls, you know him, right?
Yeah.
He's in Savannah, Georgia this week.
Oh yeah, I saw some pictures.
Yeah. So he's going to be back with us with his stories next week. and he's scared of the Ouija board, but he'll do a EVP spirit box with us. And
I can bring. I've got a really cool ITC device called the Gateway that my friend Eric designed, and you might have seen it in some of my videos, but it basically cleans up the spirit box sound and produces a much cleaner, like almost just voices coming through.
Okay.
And it's like once you use that thing, it's hard to go back to any other spirit box because of how clean it sounds.
You gonna bring that with you when you come?
Oh yeah, I could bring that and we can do a session, and then I would be down to do a Ouija as well. One thing I found, and this is just like a theory, but I find that when I do a Ouija board, if I'm playing with someone, it'll be like differences in our personalities. Like when me and Eric play together, he's like super high energy and super extroverted, and I'm a little more low energy and introverted. And when we play together, we get amazing results.
Wow.
And then I've played with other introverts and we didn't get anything.
So a mixture of personalities.
There's something about the two people playing together that, because you know you hear about I can't remember there's a certain type of effect people talk about where your mind will automatically move the planchette.
Oh yeah.
I know that can happen sometimes, but when you actually feel it moving and you feel some of the things that happen to your body, like I'll get this weird anxiety feeling, my hands will start being ice cold, different things like that will happen. Some of my friends who have seen things actually on the board, like they saw these little black dots that came out of the board and were like moving around on the board. One of my friends saw my other friend's face change into being like very old. So when you have stuff like that happening and then it's moving as well and actually answering questions, sometimes you get like gibberish and it's not making any sense. Other times it's like something's messing with you. Like one night we kept getting something that would spell out maybe every time we asked a question, it would say maybe, maybe, maybe. And we were like, "You call you Mabes?" And it was like, "Yes." And he kept saying, we asked it, "What do you think about the human race?" And it said, "Ha ha ha." And then
yeah, that's about what I think about it.
Yeah, and that was up at the TNT area where the Mothman sightings occurred, in that whole area around Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Yeah.
We were doing a session in one of the bunkers, and that's when we got the maybe thing coming through. And that was the only time I had ever seen that. We have gotten the Zozo. We've gotten different Zozos too. Like it would be, one of them would be moving very fast, one of them would move slower, one of them would do circles a lot, one of them would do the infinity sign, one of them would count down on the numbers. So when you have stuff like that happen, and sometimes you can feel how fast the planchette's moving, and you can see both of the people's are barely touching it. I definitely think there's something to it, and there's a reason that people have been using them for, well over 100 years.
We just had someone ask to join Abnormal Alabama.
Yay.
We're growing and growing. I hope when you can come down here that you can bring Brittany with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope that we can both be off on a Tuesday night and get down there, or maybe some other night we can plan to come down. I think it's about an hour drive for us.
Well, do you guys have a particular night that's better for you guys?
Usually our schedules are kind of crazy sometimes. It's hard to say for both of us because she'll be doing babysitting jobs on the weeknights sometimes, and then my schedule at work can change constantly because of people quitting and whatnot because we go through a lot of people. So
You got a high
for
turnover, yeah.
some,
Well,
and I've been here for a long time, so I try to help out when I can. But
if you see an opportunity, we can do this any night, pretty much, you know.
yeah,
Our busiest times, because we do a lot of weddings, a lot of times Friday and Saturday nights can be rough. But other than that, we're usually pretty open. And we're set up here to where we can play the Ouija board, we can do some spirit boxes, whatever you guys want to do, and you know, have fun with it, learn something, whatever.
yeah, absolutely. I'd love to bring the gateway down and show you guys some of my spirit boxes. I have a lot of different spirit boxes that I use. Different hack shacks or shack hacks. The old Radio Shacks that you could hack. You can hack. It's just clipping a mute cord
Yeah.
that allows it to scan freely. But those are my favorites to use. And then of course I've got the PSP 7 and the PSP 11. But I prefer the hack stacks and the gateway.
Is that gateway an app?
No.
So the gateway it's a guitar app that has a noise reduction, a reverb, and a reverse and echo pedal on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a spirit box into that and run it through that. It cleans up the sound, it reverses the whole signal chain, and then it adds this echo to anything that comes through. So you'll have like a mix of different voices coming through, and sometimes you'll get some super clear responses that come right through and they'll echo. And sometimes the echo will change, which should not happen, because it's supposed to just be an echo. So you'll have a lot of interesting stuff happen, and once you start to go back to regular sessions, because you'll get used to that echo. And I'll be doing a regular session with the box, and I'll hear a response, but it won't echo, and I'll be like, dang, I should have had the gate.
So, you familiar with Huff Paranormal?
Yeah, I've seen some.
That's pretty much what he uses, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a similar device. The only difference with the gateway is that his doesn't have the reverse and the echo.
Okay.
He has built one that does. I think the one that he built that had the reverse was called the Wonder Box.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very similar device. Yeah, his would be called the Portal, where Eric's is called the Gateway.
Yeah.
There's the one I think called the Banshee Box that's a similar device, and it's really easy to make one yourself. Like I had one before I had the Gateway that was more of the Portal build, but this new one I love it. Like it's that in I have another spirit box. Some people refer to it as the Holy Grail Ghost Box. It's the 12587 Radio Shack. And that one's one of my favorites. I'll just do sessions with that by itself a lot of times.
You can't find those anymore, can you?
They're hard. I think on eBay they sometimes go for upwards of $300.
Yeah.
I got mine for free from one of my friends gave it to me, so I was lucky to get that.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us while you're driving around there.
Yeah, I'm gonna head back in here, but you want me to leave it on because I might have one more delivery here. If you want me to leave it on, or I can close it out.
We'll hang with you for We'll be right here.
All right, I'll be right back.
Okay.
But yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been fun.
Oh well, I enjoy it. Yeah.
Helping pass the time too.
Making your night go by easier.
Yes.
All right, I'll be back.
Okay.
While he's gone, I'll still make sure we're still going over here.
Well, what it is regardless, I'll archive it, it'll save it, so we'll still have it regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just making sure we still had some juice left over here.
That's plugged in.
Yeah, but I'm talking about time on the.
Oh, it's not gonna end? How's it gonna end? It's recording it on YouTube, not on my iPad. It's not recording it on the iPad at all.
Yeah.
She's learning that.
I thought I did it on my iPad.
Oh, I thought you were streaming it.
I tried to stream it, but it wouldn't stream.
Well, okay, we got to work on that because we hadn't had a problem tonight for some reason. Are you
It's
sure
the
that?
spirits.
Check and make sure you hadn't accidentally unplugged that router in there.
How would I accidentally?
Because your chair and all that stuff's over there. Just, you didn't say you intentionally did it. So, well, this has been a fun night, and when he gets back, we'll talk for a few more minutes, but I'm tired.
You tired?
I'm tired. I was tired before I got started.
Yeah.
We did a lot of running today. We had a meeting here at 9:30, and then we went and got a call for a little wedding in Clanton. Met them. They were running late. And then we drove over to Sylacauga, and we stopped at an old cemetery. And then we went into Sylacauga, and we went to a monument they put up for the Hodges meteorite, if you're familiar with the meteorite that fell through the house and bruised that woman.
Yeah.
And then we went to Comer's Museum, where they had a replica of the meteorite, because the real meteorite's over in Tuscaloosa, and they had a lot of Gomer Pyle, Jim Neighbor stuff there.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty interesting thing. They don't even charge for that museum, 3-story building.
It's
And-
a nice museum.
Yeah. And then we drove by that bed and breakfast. I didn't do any filming there. I was not really impressed with that. But then we drove over to Childersburg, where the guy got struck by lightning twice. The second time killed him.
I took him to Gravity Hill in
Oh, I forgot
Sylacauga.
Gravity
Did y'all
Hill.
play on that
So
hill?
she got out and filmed me while I filmed as I was
Yeah.
sitting there. So yeah. So we did the
Did
Gravity
it,
Hill.
did it pull?
Oh, it
Your-
did not hesitate at all.